Hello everyone, and welcome back to RPG PhD, the channel where we dig deep into the theory and practice of tabletop role-playing games. I'm Dr. Ben, and today we're talking about a topic that doesn't get enough love: how to run tense, high-stakes encounters, but without combat. A lot of folks, especially those coming from games like Dungeons and Dragons, equate tension with combat. But some of the most memorable, edge of your seat moments I've ever seen at the table didn't involve swords or spells at all. They involved moral dilemmas, countdowns, tough conversations, and impossible choices. So let's talk about how to run those scenes, how to build tension, sustain it, and pay it off without ever drawing a weapon. At its core, an encounter is any structured moment in a session where the stakes are clear, the tension is high, and player choices matter. And that tension doesn't have to come from swords and spells, it can come from words, time limits, or impossible decisions. A non-combat encounter might look like a courtroom trial where the party must defend their actions in front of a jury. It could be a negotiation with a bandit leader holding hostages. It might be a heated political debate, or even a personal confrontation between two party members when trust starts to break down. These scenes often carry just as much, if not more, emotional weight as a fight. As one game designer put it, the tension in role-playing is in the decisions players have to make. And that's really the heart of it. A great non-combat encounter puts players at a crossroads where they have to make a choice. And none of the options are easy. The tension arises not from hit point loss, but from the uncertainty of consequences and the weight of personal values. To design a strong non-combat encounter, you can rely on 4 core tools that help sustain narrative pressure. Time pressure. A decision must be made soon or the situation gets worse. Difficult decisions. Choices that come with trade-offs, loss, or moral ambiguity. Unclear outcomes. The players can't be sure what the consequences will be until it's too late. Emotional investment. The stakes matter because the characters and the players care. If you want to create instant tension in a scene without drawing weapons, introduce a ticking clock. Time pressure is one of the most reliable tools in a game master's kit for turning a quiet conversation into a nail-biting encounter. Think about it. In real life, high-stakes situations are often tense because they must be resolved quickly. A diplomat has 10 minutes to avert a war. A spy has seconds before the train departs. A priest has just a breath to say the right words before it's too late. Time forces choices and urgency magnifies drama. In gameplay terms, that pressure can be modeled simply. Put a die on the table, counting down from 6, or draw a literal clock on your notepad and fill in a segment every round. There are many games that use this technique to great effect. Whether you use that exact mechanic or a homebrew version, the key is visibility. Let players see the time slipping away. It reminds them this moment matters and you don't get unlimited time to solve it. One thing to think about is make sure to announce the countdown. Say it out loud. Let the pressure build in real time. This doesn't just track the passage of time, it creates narrative weight. You can apply time pressure to a wide range of non-combat scenes. Here's some examples broken into 2 categories. Social and interpersonal pressure. So, interrogation or inquisition. The party faces a suspicious authority figure, a mob seeking answers, or a faith-driven zealot demanding truth. Every hesitation is dangerous. High-stakes negotiation. Players bargain for someone's freedom, a ceasefire, or a sacred relic. The other party is impatient, or worse, already deciding. Public debate or trial. The group must sway a jury, crowd, or council in a limited time. Speak now or face judgment. Political intrigue. A single word at the wrong moment might collapse an alliance. Time is short and the cost of a misstep is immense. Interpersonal fallout. A confrontation between PCs perhaps after a betrayal, time before an even bigger threat arrives. The party must resolve their differences now or fracture under pressure. Here's some scenarios involving countdown clocks. A race against time. The disease spreads, the bomb ticks, the temple collapses. Progressive clocks use turn-based countdowns or segments to track doom closing in. This can build dread minute by minute. Decaying situations. A rescue effort becomes more hopeless as hostages panic, or a portal grows unstable the longer it's open. These moments are often more tense than combat because they tap into real emotional urgency, fear, doubt, and consequence. Ultimately, when you put a deadline on a decision, players must act, not perfectly, but decisively. And that kind of pressure can turn an ordinary scene into a cinematic moment. Moral dilemmas are a powerful tool for game masters because they shift the focus from what a character can do to what they should do. These aren't puzzles with solutions, they're narrative traps with consequences. The tension lies not in finding the right answer, but in accepting the cost of any answer. So picture this, the players can save a town from destruction, but only by handing over a child who might be the vessel for a dark power. Let the child go and the town might fall. Sacrifice the child and they've crossed a line they may never come back from. Whatever they decide, they lose something, and that's what makes it dramatic. Robin Laws coined this idea in his drama system design as the no-win scenario. In these moments, emotional payoff replaces tactical victory. You don't win with clever positioning, you win by making meaningful, painful choices that define who your character is. The best dilemmas aren't about right versus wrong, they're about two competing goods. That's when players really wrestle with their decisions. That's when they stay up at night thinking about what they did. So here's some examples of moral dilemmas and ethical traps. Sophie's choice. Save one village, doom another. Which life is worth more? How do you face the survivors of the ones you left behind? Utilitarian calculus. Is it worth sacrificing a handful of innocents to prevent a greater catastrophe? What if those innocents are friends or family? Unwinnable social contracts. Helping one NPC directly harms another. Choosing sides means burning bridges. What does loyalty look like when everyone is right? What makes these scenarios memorable isn't the outcome, it's the process of getting there. Players lean in, they argue, they roleplay, and often they walk away with some of the richest character development in the entire campaign. Moral dilemmas transform a session from a game into a story, and when the stakes are personal and irreversible, you don't need a battlefield to make players sweat. Combat encounters offer something game masters often take for granted: clear feedback. You swing a sword, hit points go down. Everyone can see the stakes escalating round by round. But in a social or emotional encounter where the weapons are words and the battlefield is the conversation, sometimes you might need a different kind of feedback loop. That's where NPC behavior becomes your status bar. Watch how they respond. Do they inch closer or suddenly pull back? Does their tone soften or do they raise their voice? Are they showing doubt, amusement, fear? These cues are crucial. They let your players read the room and adjust their approach, just like they'd reposition themselves on a battlefield. Think about the negotiation scene with Smaug in The Hobbit. Bilbo doesn't know exactly how close he is to death, but we know because we're watching Smaug's temper smolder. Every word, every flick of the tail, every narrowing of the eyes signals whether things are going well or heading toward disaster. So use demeanor shifts the way you would use damage in combat. If an NPC starts out friendly but grows cold or hostile, describe that shift in vivid detail or simply roleplay it. You might say she folds her arms, her smile fades, the air in the room gets colder. One more push and this could all fall apart. Some games are structured to use narrative moves to simulate these kinds of beats. When a character acts boldly or hesitates, the game master is encouraged to make a move in response, reveal an emotional reaction, shift the balance of power, or escalate the stakes. It keeps the social dynamic alive and reactive. Even in rules-light systems or traditional games like D&D, you can steal this trick. Treat social tension like a dialogue-driven tug of war. Think about what the NPC wants, what they're afraid of, and how close the players are to tipping the scales. Then show it in body language, voice, or the reactions of surrounding characters. When players know that words have weight and that silence or failure to act can have just as much a consequence as a failed saving throw, suddenly every conversation becomes its own kind of high stakes encounter. In Blades in the Dark, players can trigger flashbacks mid-scene to explain how they prepared for the moment, retroactively shaping the narrative. They can also make resistance rolls to soften or negate negative outcomes, allowing them to trade stress for control over tense situations. This creates a dynamic rhythm of cause, consequence, and clever improvisation. In Fate Core, tension is built through aspects, descriptive phrases that players and game masters can invoke for bonuses or complications. If your character has the aspect political renegade with a silver tongue, you can use that to gain an edge in a negotiation, or have it compel trouble in the wrong setting. That's mechanical tension rooted in character and story. Burning Wheel takes it even further with Duel of Wits, a system that structures arguments like combat. You script moves like point, rebuttal, and dismiss, assigning dice pools and tracking the body of argument points like hit points for persuasion. It's rigorous, but it reinforces the idea that a debate can be just as dramatic as a sword fight, sometimes more so. Mechanics at their best anchor the drama in uncertainty. They make success feel earned and failure consequential. By leaning into your system's tools or hacking in a few of your own, you can make non-combat encounters feel every bit as intense and impactful as a boss fight. Not all tension needs to come from direct conflict or countdowns. Some of those powerful moments at the table arise from ambiguity, atmosphere, or psychological weight. One tried and true method is withholding or revealing information at key moments. Players might encounter unreliable NPCs, characters who seem helpful but may be hiding ulterior motives. When your players don't know who to trust, even simple conversations become tense. Likewise, introducing dangerous secrets, knowledge that puts the party at risk just for knowing, can ramp up the suspense. Maybe they stumble across a hidden prophecy or witness a forbidden ritual. And then there's surveillance. If players realize they're being watched, but not by whom or why, it can shift the whole tone of a scene from curiosity to paranoia. Environmental tension is just as effective. Consider situational stress from the world itself. Harsh terrain, frigid temperatures, hunger, dehydration, or even lack of shelter can press the group into difficult decisions. Crossing a snow-blasted wasteland with dwindling supplies can be just as harrowing as a dragon fight. Also, navigating hostile territory where every move risks exposure keeps players on edge. Don't underestimate the power of claustrophobic or alien spaces either. Cramped tunnels, warped dimensions, or unnatural ruins where physics seem off. These settings can make even passive scenes feel haunted and dangerous. Atmosphere and tone also play a huge role. By using ominous omens, dreams, cryptic warnings, or unsettling signs to foreshadow disaster, try the quiet before the storm technique. Let the world go still in an unexpected way, priming the table for dread. Even a sudden silence in a bustling space can grab attention and spark concern. These subtle cues tell the players something is coming and invite them to start bracing for impact. For groups who like mechanics, mechanical uncertainty without combat offers excellent options. Use skill challenges to represent complex, high-stakes situations, like defusing a bomb, winning over a crowd, or navigating a collapsing cavern. Introduce resource attrition by tracking food torches or spell slots in dangerous environments. And lean into fail-forward mechanics. Instead of you fail, try you succeed but with a cost, a classic tension builder that makes every roll feel a little more risky. Finally, consider internal and psychological pressure. A character's secret backstory might come to light at the worst possible time, threatening relationships or the mission itself. Systems like Call of Cthulhu and Alien RPG use sanity or stress mechanics to capture mental strain in tense moments. You might also experiment with dreamscapes or hallucinations, scenes where the world bends around a character's psyche, and the player must decide what to trust. And don't forget external constraints. Sometimes tension comes from what the players can't do. Maybe the villain is legally untouchable, or a critical item is in the hands of an innocent NPC. Laws, customs, or moral boundaries may prevent direct action, forcing players to find clever, sometimes uncomfortable workarounds. When doing the right thing risks breaking the rules or vice versa, you get excellent fuel for suspense. Tension isn't just about danger, it's about doubt. If the outcome matters and the way forward isn't clear, you're sitting on a goldmine of drama. Whether you're leaning on mystery, environment, emotion, or rules, always link tension to consequence and uncertainty. That's how you keep players leaning in, heartbeat rising, without ever drawing a weapon. A truly tense encounter should leave a mark on the world, on the narrative, and most importantly, on the characters. The outcome might not be a traditional success. Maybe the villain escapes, slipping through the player's fingers with a smirk and a new plan. Maybe a character walks away victorious, but morally compromised or emotionally shattered. Maybe the party wins the debate, the negotiation, the interrogation, but only after sacrificing something or someone they cared about. What matters isn't whether they won in a mechanical sense, it's whether something changed. The best political thrillers, noir mysteries, and courtroom dramas rarely end with clean victories. They end with complicated truths, with consequences that echo forward, reshaping the narrative. That's what makes them compelling. Role-playing games can and should do the same. Tension becomes meaningful when it alters the trajectory of the story or forces the characters to reevaluate who they are. And don't just reward players for success, reward them for bravery in uncertainty, for making hard choices, and for staying true to their character even when it costs them. Experience points, story beats, or simple in-world consequences, positive or negative, should reflect the weight of their decisions. When a character compromises a value to save a friend or loses a key ally by speaking truth, that deserves recognition. As one game designer mentioned, the moment the players care what happens is the moment you've succeeded. That's the heart of a successful encounter. Not flashy moves or even clever plans, but emotional investment. If the players walk away talking about what they could have done differently or feel the fallout for sessions to come, you've created something far more powerful than a battle. You've created drama. So that's how to run tense encounters without ever drawing a sword or rolling for initiative. Whether it's a desperate negotiation, a moral quandary, a ticking clock, or a scene of interpersonal conflict, tension thrives on uncertainty, consequences, and emotional stakes. Here's the real magic. You don't need combat to make players lean forward in their chairs. You need choices that matter, time that slips away, and relationships that can bend or break under pressure. The tools are right there in your toolkit. Clocks, countdowns, character flaws, moral stakes, social mechanics, and tone. Use them wisely, mix and match. Build a session where a raised eyebrow can hit harder than a longsword, where silence at the table says more than a fireball ever could. And remember, the goal isn't just to challenge characters, it's to involve players. Make them sweat, make them hesitate, make them care. If you've got a favorite non-combat encounter or story where tension exploded without a single attack roll, drop it in the comments. I would love to hear about how you made your table come alive. If you found this video useful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.